All right. Good morning, traders. Today is October 1st. October 1st, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Hey, that is the day trading service for the Hit and Run Candlesticks family, in case you're wondering how to find us. And you go to BYOB trading.com, you'll see you're in Hit and Run Candlesticks family, and you wonder, what am I doing here? Because we are a division, the day trading division of the Hit and Run Candlesticks family. All right, let's take a look at how I plan to trade SPY. Let's take a look at the results from the beginning of the week, and let's take a reminder that I'm going to start a new 27K account every Monday, and I started a new one, and I got off to a bad start at the beginning of the month. All right. Oh, before I get going, all right, just want to remind all the members, member e-learning Thursday, October 2nd, that's tomorrow, learning how and when to wait for the trade. Okay, so that's going to be a 3-hour webinar, an hour from each of us, one from Doug, one from me, one from Rick. Maybe not an hour, maybe about 50 minutes from me, maybe probably more than an hour from Rick. Doug's going to give you an hour. So anyways, so that's the e-learning. That's tomorrow. That's in the combo room. Just sign into Hit and Run Candlesticks. Go to your members page, and instead of logging into the room, you look over to the right. You'll see combo room, and you just click the login there to get into the room. That would be the combo room. So I'm going to be in there. All right. In case you're wondering where I am, hey, where's John? I'm going to be in the combo room. Probably won't be broadcasting from noon till 3 o'clock on Thursday. All right. So if you're looking for me, that's where I am. All right. I encourage you all to go. Hey, it's free learning. Anytime you can get some free education or some tips or some, hey, let's just say, what if it's even a review? All right. There's an opportunity to reinforce what you already know. All right. Okay. Let's start off with what happened yesterday. All right, so good morning. Hey, thanks for being here again, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following my content, subscribing to my content, leaving hearts, thumbs up, anything, kind words, sharing my content. Special shout out, Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy Sarah Roasted, for sharing the content, getting the good word out there. So my SPY pivot this morning, 663.90. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY and diamond down, made outside days, closing over their traps, over their 17 EMAs. QQQ and IWM made lower highs, lower lows, closing over their traps, over their 17 EMAs. FNGU made lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap, but over the 17 EMA. Not liking being, I don't like being under the trap, especially for FNGU, but it is what it is. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute uptrend. Gold made a new all-time high. Silver made a lower high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap and over the rising 17. Silver's up at those 14-year highs right now. USO made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. UNG made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. US dollar index still in a downtrend. That'd be a big bear flag. Closed near the 97.81 area. SPY max pain, I got it right today, 664, with a put to call ratio of about 2.3 puts for each call that expires today at 4:15. Main event this week is supposed to be the employment situation at 8:30 on Friday, as long as the government shutdown does not delay the release of the data. All right, so that would be my main event for this week. But there may be a shutdown that causes a delay of the data or a non-release of the data. Okay, so if you're here for the first time and you're looking at this whole picture, all right, all of these right here, okay, these are in bullish daily uptrends over the 17 EMA, okay? If you're looking at this for the very first time, all of these on this side, underneath bears, are in bullish daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. So if you wanted to be delta neutral, you'd have a $10,000 position, or let's just say a $2,000 position in a long, and then a $2,000 position on a short. Okay, that would bring you into being delta neutral. That's why I provide both, in case there's people out there that like to be delta neutral. That way, when the market goes up, they benefit, and the market goes down, they benefit, and hence they don't get that much volatility in their portfolio. All right. If you have a star next to these underneath bulls, means they're producing a bull flag. All right. So in other words, a launch pad from which to launch higher. Okay. That'd be a bull flag. If you have a star next to these underneath bears, they're building a bear flag. In other words, they're building out a platform from which to dip lower. Okay. So bulls, bears. All right. You get the idea. Okay. These are over the 17, under the 17 EMA on the daily chart. All right. Let's take this out of the way. Get that reminder out of the way. Here's our 10-minute chart. Oh, results. Okay, so let's talk about the results. Okay, so Monday, not a very good day. Not a very good day. Got started getting down quite bad and put on way too much risk, and almost blew it up. Really, 18 down 1,800 from 27K. Not good at all. Okay, yesterday came back with 5,600, 5,700 to the positive. So kind of erase that in a little bit more. So I'm currently at 30,879 right there. All right, that's where I'm at with the wiping out the negative. And that gives me an excess, all right, to work with of, I have it here somewhere. The excess over the 1%, I have an extra $2,700 to work with. Actually, an extra $3,300 to work with today to help to put at risk at my choosing. Now, probably not going to use all of that. Probably only going to use 20% of that. I don't really want to dip back to 27K. I'd like to stay going in the forward direction. All right, so that's where we're at now with the new 27K account. And let's go take a look. Case buy on the 10-minute chart. We left off with a 10-minute uptrend. So I'm looking for continuation of the 10-minute uptrend. Kind of gapping down right now. We'll see what we do. But looking for a continuation of that 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Okay, yesterday was nothing but chop. So let's look at this and how we're going to trade bull flags. I'm going to teach you guys how I trade bull flags. We're going to do it right now. All right, so you can get an idea of. Okay, so obviously we got ourselves a bull flag right here. So price goes up, and you can see it goes over to the right. All right, up and over to the right. So that's a bull flag. So let's take that off. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in here. Okay, you can obviously see there's a top side to this channel. So let's box that off. So right up there, see where those wicks touch up there. And then we've got tails down here. So whenever I get a bull flag like this, okay, this is what I like to do. Okay, I like to trade, all right, with the arrows. I'll get the blue arrows, all right, and I like to trade from this low up to the high. Now when I get up to the high, I don't dump all of it, all right. I keep 20 or 15% in case the breakout does happen. Okay, so from the low up to the high. See how many times this came down and gave you that opportunity? Low up to the high, low up to the high, low up to the high. Oh, look at this. All right, good thing we retained 15, 20% for that follow through right there. Okay, see how they got up here and they held the higher ground right there and then rip. Okay, so that's how I trade bull flags, from the bottom up to the top, retaining 20 or 15% once I'm up here. Okay, take my profits at the top of the channel. All right, just a neat little strategy. You probably already knew it, but just want to review it for everybody out there in video land that's not aware of my strategy. And it just makes sense to do it that way. That's right. Yep, that's right, Jim. All right, so there's SPY. There's a 10-minute. Looking for follow through on the 10-minute chart there. Okay, that's what I'm looking for this morning. Okay, remember, my favorite trade is the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP inside that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly, inside the monthly. So let's go look at the 2-hour right now. Here's 2-hour. And you can see, I'm going to take this out of the way because we don't need this anymore. All right, we already did the lesson. All right, we're in a 2-hour uptrend. You can see right here, here's the candlesticks with the 3 EMA. Candlesticks are on top of the 3 EMA. 3 EMA has daylight between the 3 and the 8 EMA. Okay, so that's a 2-hour uptrend. Nice candle there. I'd like to see some follow through on that. Okay, so SPY on the 2-hour in an uptrend. All right, so I'll be looking for those 10-minute uptrends today. We'll see if I get some. FNGU doesn't seem to want to help me out, but we'll see. All right, on the daily chart. All right, daily chart, we've got, just want to make sure I got the right day. Okay, outside day, higher high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap. We got quite near the all-time highs yesterday. Look at that. There's very little daylight up here between the all-time high and yesterday's high. So closing over a bullish trap over the rising 17 EMA. Now if I pan way out, you can see our top of quadrant 4, that's bullish and in an uptrend. Nothing's broken yet. Okay, we also got, so we got a 2-hour uptrend, a daily uptrend. Okay, we got a weekly. Let's take a look. Weekly, see all the green dots? See how the candlesticks are on top of the 3? All right, and both of those are on top of the 8. That's the white line. And all 3 of those are on top of the rising 17 right there. So we're bullish. And then an uptrend there on the weekly chart. Okay, same deal goes for monthly. See all the green dots? See the candlesticks on top of the 3. Okay, candlesticks in the 3 on top of the 8. Okay, you got daylight between 3 and the 8. And you can see you got daylight between the 8 and the 17. And the 17 is rising. Okay, so monthly, still bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, so there's SPY on the monthly, the weekly. So I got, right now I've got 2-hour uptrend, daily uptrend, weekly uptrend, monthly uptrend. So if I find a 10-minute uptrend, I'm going to have all those bigger time frames supporting my 10-minute uptrend. All right, that should help it go further, help it last longer. All right, that's what I'm looking for. All right, to have all the bigger time frames. Okay, it's not going to be like this maybe 6-9 months from now. I'm just going to say they're not all going to be in an uptrend. You'll have some working against each other. Right now, I've got it. It's a unique scenario. I want to take advantage of it, and I want to trade those 10-minute uptrends that are inside those daily uptrend, weekly uptrend, monthly uptrend, especially when I got the bigger time frame supporting what's going on. Now, I'm not a big fan of going counter trend. All right, I'm just saying that. Not that I won't trade counter trend, but I prefer not to, especially when I've got all of these bigger time frames in an uptrend at the time. Okay, so there's SPY. All right, let's take a look at the game plan. We'll visit that real quick here. Let's zoom back. All right, pivot. There we go. All right, you can see pivot 663.90. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. And you can see right here where price action was on top of, see those wicks up there? And then we had prior price action from the previous day up there. So this became my pivot for the day. So this is by game plan. You can see excuse me. Green erases red over 666.20. Pivot 663.90. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green underneath 661.65. Okay, so you can see if price goes up, that would be bullish. So that would be green. All right, now if the bears turn around and erase, undo everything that the bulls did and more, that would be my red erases green entry underneath here. So we'll see what happens. All right, I like 2 days and 9 days till expiration. Friday options. I like Friday options. They got more open interest. I like the multiple of 5 on Friday. Has more open interest on the multiples of 5 than they do throughout the other numbers. So I like 2 days and 9 days Friday options on the multiple of 5, and I trade strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. It's a little less risk and a little less performance. Okay, you want more performance, you will pay up for it. In other words, if you get higher the delta, the more likely you are to have better performance. Delta is going to tell you the performance of that option. So in other words, if you've got a 50 delta, all right, and you've got the underlying security moves $1, you're going to capture 50 cents of that in your option, all right, when that product moves $1 in your favor, all right. So, but same on the downside. If it moves down $1, you'll probably lose 50 cents on your option or more, okay, as it moves down and away from your strike, okay. So I trade, no secret, I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, all right. So if a uptrend were to happen to manifest down here underneath the pivot or underneath here, breaking the bullish rubber band candle, okay, long before it reaches the green erases red entry up here at 666.20, okay, long before it reaches that, I would be interested in trading that to the upside, all right. I'm not going to have to wait till I get the green erases red entry. As long as I've got that bullish 10-minute rubber band candle is broken, I'd be interested in trading that to the upside, even if it originates or manifests down here below the red line, or even below the yellow line, or even below the green line, okay. So you don't have to wait, I don't have to wait for price to breach this 666.20 number, okay. I can do it down here or down here, all right. Just saying that you don't have to wait for that 10-minute uptrend till it gets there, because it might not get there till the end of the day, all right. Just saying that in case you're wondering. I've got the red erases green and the green erases red. Same thing on the downtrend. If a downtrend were to happen to manifest up here, breaking a bearish 10-minute bearish rubber band candle, again, I would not have to wait, all right, to trade it till it gets down under here where you got red erases green. That's another entry, all right. But I'm just saying that if it were to manifest up here, I could trade it as long as it breaks that bearish 10-minute rubber band candle. I could trade it to the downside right up there. All right, I'm just saying that ahead of time in case you're wondering. I can only take bullish trades up here and bearish trades down here. No, that is not the case. All right, thank you, Alan. Thank you. All right, so there's SPY. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. All right, and you can see QQQ. Got a 10-minute uptrend right there. You can see it. Let's zoom in so you can see that 10-minute uptrend. Again, the 3 and the price candles, okay, up there over the 8 EMA, all right, and you got space. See the daylight between the two of them, nice daylight. All right, then you've got daylight between the rising 8 and the rising 17, like that, nice space there. Okay, up over VWAP right there, so 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Same thing happens here on QQQ. I'm interested in trading 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. Again, inside those 2-hour uptrends, inside the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. Okay, I like green erases red entry up over 680. Okay, QQQ pivot is, make sure, 598.40. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. And red erases green underneath 596.50 underneath there. Again, I don't have to wait to take a bearish trade, like I don't have to wait till it gets down here. If I have a 10-minute downtrend, okay, that happens, all right, up here, here, or here, that breaks the the bearish 10-minute rubber band candle, I can trade it to the downside, okay, even if it manifests or originates up here, here, or here, all right, long before it gets to 596.50. Okay, just saying that's the case. Okay, again, I like 2 days and 9 days till expiration Friday options, more open interest, hence get higher liquidity. I like a nice penny spread between bid and ask. That's my favorite. Okay, on the multiple of 5, multiples of 5 tend to have more in the wow, went brain dead there for a minute. Open interest. There you go. Had to take a sip of coffee. That works every time. All right. Okay. I like strikes. I trade strikes $2 to $15 or $2 to $10 out of the money. Again, you don't get the performance. All right, that you would from an in the money option. All right, but you don't take on as much risk either. Okay. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. No secret. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. No secret there. Okay, let's take a look at the 2-hour chart so you can see we have our setup going on. So you can see daylight between the 3 EMA right here. If you zoom in right here, you can see just a little bit of daylight. You have a 2-hour uptrend. Okay, coming into the close yesterday. It's the 3 EMA up over the 8 EMA. So nice green candle. Like to see some follow through. All right. Other than that, it's just one lone green candle. Want to see follow through on that. So there's 2-hour uptrend. All right, coming into the close. All right, and we had a 10-minute uptrend. All right, on the daily chart, see all the green dots. Again, we have a daily uptrend. Okay, everything's working right there. Okay, weekly, got a weekly uptrend. Again, 3 over the 8 over the 17. Weekly uptrend. Okay, over the 17. That's in an uptrend. Monthly, see all the green dots? Okay, monthly also in an uptrend. Okay, so right now we have that same scenario on QQQ. You can trade either one, QQQ or SPY. Okay, I have a small account, so I can't trade both. Probably could take one in each one, but makes it easier just to stick with one or the other, QQQ or SPY. Anyways, got that 2-hour uptrend. Again, we like those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP that reside inside 2-hour uptrends, that reside inside a daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. Okay? Again, that's my favorite trade. Just sharing it with you in case you're wondering what it is. That's my setup. That's the one I like the best. All right? So QQQ on the daily chart, we'll zoom way out. You can see, obviously, we're still in an uptrend. We're up at the top of quadrant 4, so that's bullish and still in an uptrend right there. Okay, let's take a look at IWM. Okay, IWM got a lower high, lower low, but closing over a bullish trap. Okay, and over the 17 EMA. Okay, up there at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, that's bullish at top of quadrant 4. Bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow got a outside day. Okay, it's a higher high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap. Okay, over the rising 17. Again, Diamond Dow, top of quadrant 4. That's bullish and still in an uptrend. Markets are still bullish. Okay, let's take a look at weekly chart. All right, weekly also bullish and in an uptrend as well. Let's take a look at FNGU. All right, let's take a look at that on the daily chart. Okay, yesterday's candle, lower high, lower low, not liking that. Closing underneath the bearish trap, but over the flat 17 EMA. Okay, middle of quadrant 4 up there on the high side of the middle. All right, that's bullish and still in an uptrend. Okay, I'm just saying, if they happen to take out this low, okay, they will have a label. That's all it is a label of downtrend, because they will have made, here's a low below the 17 a lower low. All right, so there's FNGU on the daily chart, and coming close to making a downtrend. We'll see what happens. Again, they're still bullish, top of quadrant 4, middle, and in an uptrend. Okay, let's take a look at gold. Okay, here's gold hitting a new all-time high right here. New all-time high for gold. All right, so in case you're confused, that's bullish and still in an uptrend, or maybe you're just wondering. Okay, silver. Okay, 14-year high up here. Okay, I just want to show you the quad lines. See this? This is the all-time high up here that goes back 14 years. Okay, that line, right? That's bullish. It's still in an uptrend. Okay, so here's the quad. Here's 1, 2, 3. That's 4. We're not up here yet. It looks like an equal space, but it's actually just the space between our 14-year high this year and the all-time high up there. Okay, so I just want you to know that it looks like we're not in quadrant 4 like this might be it. It's not. This is quadrant 4. Anyways, price action, lower high, lower low as compared to the day before. Closing over a bullish trap over the rising 17 EMA. Again, top of quadrant 4. Obviously bullish and still in an uptrend. That's silver. Let's take a look at UNG. All right, UNG still in a downtrend, failing to make a higher high. Okay, so UNG downtrend. Down here at the bottom of quadrant 1, okay? Remember gold and silver were up here. SPY was up here. QQQ was up here. IWM was up here. Diamond Dow was up here. Everybody was up here, okay? Down here, this is bearish. That was bullish. This is bearish. So this is bearish and still in a downtrend because they have not made a higher high yet, okay, on UNG, all right? So there's UNG. Let's take a look at USO. All right, USO, as you can see, here's the quadrant lines right there. Upper quadrant here, upper third, all right, like from here up, that's bullish. From here down, that's bearish, okay? Remember UNG was down here, that'd be bearish. Remember SPY, gold, and silver were up here, so that's bullish. Okay, so they're in the middle ground. See how they go up? And they just can't hold those highs. Okay, so they go up and they give it up. They go up, they give it up. Okay, so that's just neutral. So USO, neutral. All right. And still in an uptrend right now. Okay, here's the high. They made a higher high. That put them in an uptrend. If they take out this low, they'll be in a downtrend. Right now, they're still in an uptrend that's pulling back or not working. Okay, either way you want to look at it, it's not working. USO, neutral, but still in an uptrend. Do want to point out we're on the bullish side of this 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line there. And we're on the bullish side. If you look at the quadrant and you look at this as a football field, okay, we're on the bullish side of price action here. This would be the 50-yard line. All right, we're in enemy territory down here, okay? So looking good, all right, being on the bullish side of, let's just call it the equator or the midpoint. This would be the bearish side, okay? We're on the bullish side of that. So hanging out up here, but just can't seem to find any hope yet or the ability to hold the higher ground for more than a couple days or so, all right? So there's USO. Let's take a look at our technicals, T21.01. This is market breadth. Okay, market breadth is now increasing. And the idea that it's increasing with FNGU pulling back is not something that I want to see. I'd rather see FNGU rising at the same time T21.01 is rising, okay? But it is what it is. Last time we were down here, we had the COVID rally, okay? That was the reversal for a COVID rally. This is the last time we were down here in this section between the green line and the teal line down here, okay? So not sure if this increased breadth goes with the selling or increased breadth goes with the bullishness. I don't know yet, all right? I'm going to see that market's making highs, so I'm going to give it to the bulls for right now. We'll see what happens. That's T2101. That's market breadth. All right, so that's like the wind in your sails, the momentum, the amount of participation. All right, so we're getting more and more participants here recently. Okay, with this price action. So T2101, T2122. You can see we made lower lows. This was lows. We made lower lows, and all we did was consolidate down here at the bottom of the seller's chop zone, knocking on the door of the sell zone. Bulls threw us out twice right there. Still have not made a higher high. Chances are we're coming down here again, maybe today, or we'll see, unless we make a higher high. All right, take out that high. We'll see what happens. All right, T2122. More selling unless we take out that high. T2123. Again, you can see evidence of selling right here. They made a higher high up here, so they're in an uptrend at the end of the day when it comes to the 15-minute chart. Underneath the 200 SMA, not my favorite place to be anyways. Still got a bearish gap going on, okay, kind of supports the bearish side of price reaching its apex. We'll see what happens, but bearish gap that has not been filled by the bulls. So we got a little mini bear flag. If you look at price, comes from this high down to this area here, and then moves over to the right. So we got a little mini bear flag inside of our bull flag, bigger picture. All right, so got a 15-minute uptrend. All right, maybe that can get us back to the 200. Hopefully we can get up and over that. We'll see what happens. That's T2123 15-minute chart. Here's the 3-bar chart. Okay, here's our quadrant lines. That's the low. Okay, that is this was the prior all-time high. It's the new all-time high. You can see price has moved up and over to the right. Okay, so if we were to kind of like look at, examine price going up and over to the right like that, that's a bull flag. Okay, we're up over the 200 SMA. That's my favorite place to be, up there over the 200. We're up at the top of quadrant 4, so we're still bullish. We haven't broken any lows yet, so we're still bullish and in an uptrend on the 3-bar chart. Okay, the 15-minute is now recently in an uptrend, but still does not look as pretty and as gorgeous as the 3-bar chart. So we'll see. We're still bullish and in an uptrend right now on T2123. Let's take a look at FNGU. Underneath the 200 SMA again. Again, it's not my favorite place to be. Don't like that. Price action. Let's go back to T2123 15-minute. This was the rubber band candle right here. Okay, so that would make this the spike. This would be the rubber band candle. Just want you to know. We didn't close below it, but we did pierce below the rubber band candle. Okay, so we didn't close. So we didn't close below it. All right, so we haven't really. I'm going to say we haven't broken it, but we have spiked it. All right, if we close underneath this, all right, that will be a broken rubber band candle in regards to the point of interest being the 200 SMA. Okay, just saying. All right, and we could see things start falling apart more rapidly on T2123 if they happen to close a candle down here. Okay, see, notice they got down here, double bottomed and recovered. So we'll see where we closed today. That was the 15-minute. I forgot to mention that earlier. All right, back to FNGU. Okay, this is our rubber band candle for the point of interest. Okay, that's 200 SMA right there. Okay, closing below this. All right, on 2786. Okay, on the 15-minute chart, that would be a break of the bearish rubber band candle. The point of interest is going to be, of course, this 200 SMA right there. Okay, so that's FNGU. This is regarding a full day. All right, so on the daily chart, really. FNGU 15-minute based on this right here. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, you can see price action yesterday consolidating, a lot of sloppy consolidation or price action under the prior day's price action. Okay, that's bearish. Under the 200 SMA, not my favorite place to be. Again, also not bullish, all right, but bearish as well. Okay, don't forget FNGU is at the top of quadrant 4 on those bigger time frames. Even though I'm pointing out some bearishness that I'm seeing right now, picking up on some of it. Overall, up top, okay, on price action for this FNGU on the daily chart, the bigger time frames, we're still bullish up there. All right, let's take a look at the economic calendar. Let's wrap this up. All right. On the daily chart, dollar in a downtrend right here. Price action. Let's draw it out. Let's take care of that. Get that out of the way. Get the line. Okay, so price action comes down, and you can see it goes over to the right. So that's a bear flag. So we're in a bear flag currently. All right, we like a weak dollar if we're investors. As consumers, it sucks. So we closed here yesterday, 97.81, roughly thereabouts. Okay, so dollar still in a downtrend. We like that. Notice that good GDP number that we got last week. All right, brought to you by the weak dollar. Okay, let's take a look at Max Pain. Max Pain is 664 today. It's quite high. It's almost near the all-time highs. Max Pain. Put to call ratio 2.3 puts for each call. Possible put squeeze is on the table. We'll see. Earnings calendar. All familiar names. Nothing here that's going to move the markets. Not today. Take a look at Thursday. That's millions. Okay. Right there. So nothing that's going to move the markets. And Friday. Nothing really here that's going to move the markets. A lot of them haven't even compiled their P&L. Look at this yet. Or they're just not sure they're going to report. Look at all the dashes. See, they either have a sunshine or a moonshine. All right? And there's no moonshine and there's no sunshine. So it's just like a do not enter sign. So right there. So you can see they haven't even got the P&L ready yet. All right? Or they're not prepared, or they'll post it later. All right, on the economic calendar, okay, this was the main event. Possible government shutdown, so we may not get the release of the data. All right, so we'll see what happens today. All right, we got MBA mortgage applications at, we got the shutdown update. I got to hear that. All right, MBA mortgage applications at 7, ADP employment report at 8:15, PMI manufacturing final, 9:45, ISM manufacturing index 10 o'clock, construction spending at 10 o'clock, petroleum report at 10:30. So Alan shared the ADP employment report. Thank you, Alan. And it says the consensus employment report, we added, consensus was to add between 35,000 and 70,000 on private payrolls. Okay, so we dropped. Wow. Market probably fall apart today. I don't know. Minus 32,000 was the actual. Okay, that's not sure what happened there. I just got to see if the market's falling apart. That's not a good number. Not really affected by it. All right. They're still back up here at the highs from down here. I thought they would fall apart on that. All right. So that's it for today. Oh, how we're going to trade SPY. 10-minute chart. Okay. So we got a huge range in the post-market, pre-market. You can see 661 to 666. Going to trade the breakout of the first 15 minutes. All right, so I'm going to box off the first 3 5-minute candles and trade the breakout to either side. All right, based on this, there's no way you can trade this range. This is ridiculous. all the way down here below 661 to over 666. That's a $5 range. I'm going to trade the first 15 minutes. I'm going to box off the first 15 minutes and trade the breakout of the range, the opening range, which would be the first 15 minutes of price action. Okay, so that's how I'm going to trade both SPY and QQQ this morning. All right, keep in mind you've got, this would be a target. I'm going to show you what targets would be. That would be a target if we're above it to the downside. If we're below it to the upside, that would be yesterday's VWAP. Okay, of course, gap fill will be a target up there. Okay, and this low right here, this will be a target. See that right there. These lows will also be a target. So we'll see which way they want to go this morning. All right, traders, that's it. I'll see you guys in about 40 minutes, and we'll open up the markets, make another recording.